Perfect. Here we are then, guys. So we're back for another episode of Empower Online this time. It used to be the Martial View, and as you guys know, we had over about 600 subscribers on the last channel. So we're starting to build this one up now, and it's into Empower Online. So I'm super excited to get started and get the interviews going back on. We've got an awesome one today. We've got Matt and Marco from ArtMartial, who are a clothing brand for martial artists. I'm wearing some of their stuff right now. As you can see, they're wearing their stuff. They've got their stuff in the background as well. So welcome, Matt and Marco. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us. Absolutely.
You are very welcome, guys. So tell us a little bit about ArtMartial then, and kind of how it got founded and why it got started.
So ArtMartial's been going probably, what year are we in? It's probably coming up to sort of 6 years now since we started the brand. Very much started as most businesses do, as a great idea, a bit of a hobby. We were both working full time. So a bit of backstory: we both worked together, hence the partnership. We're not necessarily friends from many moons ago. We both worked together. Ultimately had a real vested interest in martial arts. So that's where it all came about. You know, we're adult martial arts, been practicing different martial arts for quite a long time now, and. In all honesty, we were kind of looking at a way of how can we escape the corporate world, because
Get out the rat race.
Absolutely, yeah. It wasn't quite as enjoyable. You know, we'd done 20 odd years in different sales roles and what have you, and it was actually Matt's idea, to be fair, to give him his dues, who came up with the idea, because it was based on, I suppose, a little bit of not necessarily a gap in the market, but an opportunity to support the more traditional side of martial arts.
Sure.
Even back then, 6 years ago, and probably, you know, it's grown even more now. Every brand that we come across, you know, is aligned more to sort of the fight wear element or jiu-jitsu or
definitely.
MMA. And absolutely, there's room for all of that, and, you know, it's very much on trend at the moment. However, we were practicing traditional martial arts, and we felt that there was a little bit of a requirement where we could support more traditional elements. So not just one specific martial art, but actually the holistic martial arts at a traditional level, really. So Matt came to me and had an idea, and from there it grew, really. So.
I mean, we love combat sports, by the way. We think they're an integral part of martial arts. It's just... we feel, I think, particularly as two people who started martial arts as adults rather than as kids, we've seen such sort of profound positive benefits on our life since we took it up. There's more to it than fighting, if you know what I mean. Now,
100%.
competition is definitely a part of it and a valuable part of it, but it just felt that when we were looking around, you know, as adults with a hobby do for kind of the supporting merchandise, all we were finding were things with, you know, fight wear emblazoned on it. And it's not that we do a little bit of fight wear, but that's not our wheelhouse, really. What we are is martial arts inspired casual wear for, you know, people who value kind of the more spiritual aspect of martial arts, if you want to call it that.
Perfect. That's awesome. So, Matt, you said that you were kind of like the instigator then, and you had the initial idea. Did that just come to you suddenly out of the blue? Were you just training and you were like, right, I think there's a gap here. We need to get going on with that. And then how did that kind of come into inception?
I was doing Wing Chun at the time, and I just thought, you know what, there must be some sort of cool Wing Chun T-shirt out there to get hold of. Started searching, and you know, literally nothing available that we could find. Apologies if there's anybody out there who differs on that opinion, but I couldn't find anything. And then I just started thinking, well, I'm getting all these adverts for frankly really, really nice looking and contemporary BJJ and MMA stuff, and nothing really seemed to be popping up for casual wear for a lot of the other martial arts. I know there's a lot of people out there that do sort of high-end gis and things like that, but when it comes to the, you know, hoodies and T-shirts, I just couldn't find something. And as Marco said, we were in the world of corporate sales. I think it's fair to say neither of us wanted to be, and you know, we just thought, well, maybe we could do it. And as things tend to transpire, when you start making a few inroads, the path just sort of seems to open up in front of you a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. That's amazing, guys. So a cool story. So what about you guys personally then? How come you got involved in martial arts kind of later on in life? It's usually the kind of the traditional route, I suppose. Yeah. Kids get started and then develop into adults, then become the instructor, blah. But yeah, it's a little bit rarer, I suppose, for adults to get started a little bit later in life.
he was a good rugby player. I was a very average footballer.
Okay.
Got into our 30s, and we were kind of friends at this point. And I think it's fair to say that we both got out of shape.
Right.
I've got to put too fine a point on it. You know, he retired from rugby. You know, I was playing five-a-side a little bit, and going to the gym, and there was couldn't find any motivation in the gym anymore. I just didn't really enjoy being there. I think, having reflected on it since taking up martial arts, I think one of the things that I enjoy personally about it is that you the ongoing learning. The gym's okay at first when you're learning, 5x5 splits, or learning the basics. But once you've learned it, it just becomes very much a perfunctory exercise. You go in, you try and psych yourself up to lift some weights, and I was just struggling to do it. So I thought, I didn't know, I watched a lot of martial arts films as a kid. I was a big fan of Steven Seagal, Van Damme, all that kind of thing. But I just figured Bruce Lee did Wing Chun. If it's good enough for him, there was a class around the corner. I thought I'd just give it a try. So I picked that up. I think it's fair to say, I've not stuck with Wing Chun. I did a couple of years of that and moved on to different martial arts. I mainly do sort of kickboxing and jiu-jitsu now. But, got out of shape, needed something to fill the time, and martial arts did that, and it did that in a way that I wish I'd started when I was younger.
Perfect. Good stuff.
I think just to add to that from my part, aside from the not being, the fittest person, like Matt said, I'd kind of grown up from probably the age of 7 playing rugby to a fairly high standard, albeit amateur.
Cool.
Represented my country and stuff like that. So
amazing. Well done,
to be honest, when your body tells you that you can no longer run, head first into people without coming off injured, I suppose.
Yeah, sure.
Mine started doing that at about 7.
So, but there was 2 things. I still needed something a little bit combative, if that makes sense. Because I come from that rugby background, I felt like I needed to be involved in something. So not necessarily same as the route that Matt went. I went more into the more combative of the traditional styles because I still felt I needed that hands-on. But I think the other key thing, which we've kind of touched on, is, again, being involved in rugby. It's a team sport. I've made friends that are still friends now. I had that community, and then to retire and kind of step away from that, it was like, gosh, what do I do with my weekends or a Tuesday, Thursday night now, kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
And having done martial arts for quite a few years now, I've built a whole new community. So that social lifestyle side of things, rather than just the physical fitness element of it. So it's been a wonder for both sides, the fitness and the mental well-being side of it as well, really.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I think that's a really overlooked aspect sometimes, isn't it? Like the mental side of it and the social side. People think, we'll go and smash some pads or do something like that. But as you said, like the tactile nature of martial arts means that you get to know people pretty quickly. If you're rolling around with them doing jiu-jitsu and you've got your their heads in between your legs and stuff like that, you're going to make friends pretty quickly. And then it's just a natural progression to then go out into a social aspect and then get a beer and stuff and, have some fun. So that social side of it, I think, is amazing.
Yeah. It's a group of people that have bothered getting off the settee to go and do something positive. Yeah. And that's priceless, that you can find that for a few quid a session and get fit and learn something that might potentially save your life down the line. It's just for me, I just I've got a young son, and look, he can do whatever he wants, but if you'd have asked me at 25 what I'd like him to do, I'd have wanted to steer him towards football. I still like football, but not as much as I used to, and I just consider it past a certain point, a bit of a waste of time, to be honest, when you put it in the same bracket as something like martial arts.
Yeah. For me, actually, it's a good point. I've got an 8-year-old daughter, and 2 years ago, you get to that point that you want them to have an activity because you don't want them sat in front of the screens, in front of the telly, that kind of stuff. So she does the stage school side of things. She loves acting, singing, dancing. But actually, from Matt, he said, I want her to be able to look after herself. So even though my background was rugby, I chose martial arts for her over that. So she's done Muay Thai and now does Krav Maga at the age of 8 years of age, because I see the value it has, again, from a physical
brilliant,
as well as getting her off the sofa.
Confidence building as well.
Confidence. You physically see the confidence has just grown so much since she started doing this kind of stuff. So I'm well pleased as a father, to be honest.
That's amazing. Yeah, good. Take me back kind of like 6 years then. So you just, you thought with the idea, to begin with, Matt. You kind of got Marco on board. And then how did it kind of transpire? How did that road kind of lay out in front of you from that first kind of going, I want to make some clothing to do with martial arts lifestyle or martial arts kind of, I want to go away from the fight wear. I want to go into the more of the kind of, streetwear, I suppose, and casual wear. Yeah. How do we then go from like that into kind of a really successful company now that's, getting lots of orders in, people are wearing it. It's really starting to create quite a buzz, I think, around the martial arts community, which is cool.
There's a lot of steps between that and that. I'll be fair. I'll be honest with you. So, I mean, the first thing we did is things moved very quickly for a short period of time, and maybe we'll touch on why things kind of seem to slow down and speed up in a really odd kind of pattern. But we found another brand that we like the look of that was nothing to do with martial arts. They're actually a brand called Defect that do like graffiti style, it's kind of hip hop inspired stuff, big graphic tees. Yeah. We knew there are a lot of brands out there that have got nice logos and tasteful garments, and they're quite muted in style, and we kind of, what we say around here is you can't really monetize apathy, if you know what I mean. Yeah. If we see a lot of these brands, and do you know the funny thing is, I do jiu-jitsu and I like them all. New one pops up on my timeline every day that's got a cool logo. You go on their Instagram, it looks really professional, really cool. The rash guards look ace, but they just look like the ones that I saw yesterday and the day before and the day before that. So we made a conscious decision. We wanted everything to be kind of a little bit bolder, and if we were only going to appeal to a smaller subset of people, then that was kind of fine by us. We just sort of produced what we liked and we thought cool. So we looked at this other brand, and they were sort of doing the style of thing that we liked in terms of the imagery, but not led towards martial arts. And we just saw one of the artists that we particularly liked had done a design based around kung fu and turntables of all things. So we looked him up. Yeah. It turns out, where Huddersfield, he's in Leeds. Just dropped him an Instagram, and he said, come over and see us. And in the first meeting with him, he'd hooked us up with a printer that we still use to this day. He recommended somebody that was a branding expert that did our logo that we still use. They've done work for Twinings and loads of other high street brands that you probably know of, but they enjoyed working with little startups as a sideline. So from that one meeting, it's like the whole thing just sort of opened up in front of us, and it was really quick to get started. But that, you kind of realise is where that doing something like this is where the hard work starts, because I think there are so many people out there, and we take our hats off to them that we're in the same position. They see a clothing brand as the way out, or the way to add a little bit of value to their life outside of their work, and absolutely fine. And we very much fell into that, and it's almost right, excellent, we'll build it and they shall come approach. So we started with two kung fu t-shirts, a Wing Chun specific and a more sort of broader kung fu related one. And we thought, right, excellent. We paid for the cheapest big cartel e-commerce website, got them up on there. Looking back on it now, it looked pretty average, but to us at that point, it was a momentous step forward. Excuse me. And it was like, right, we go live, and it's like, okay, crickets.
What now? What
sure.
Where is everyone, sort of thing? Yeah. So, and we bless it. We see it all the time, and we can say this because we've done the hard work. It's so hard to start a clothing brand.
It's not what you want. It's not what you want to do, if you know what I mean. You do it because you want to. The designing of the product and the choosing what colorways you do. Our problem was, we'll do that all day, and I think most people will do that all day because that's part of the job that's fun, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
The problem is when you have to start drilling down into the data and understanding all the metrics. And for us, I think it's Jim. It's like a Jim Rohn quote that not that we've made £1 million, but he said you don't make £1 million to have £1 million. You make £1 million to become what it takes for you to be the sort of person that can make £1 million. And for us. Sure. A big step change that's happened in the last several months is, and it sounds cliche, and a lot of cliches, they're kind of true, and this one is getting out of your own way. We'd have said no to coming on this podcast a year ago. If you'd have invited us, we would have been grateful, but we wouldn't have come on You know, we wanted to be behind the scenes, designing T-shirts, and not having our faces out there, and like Marco says, build it and they will come. And it's not a reality. So we've had to do some things that, in principle, at first we didn't want to do. It turns out we're actually okay. Get out of your own way a little bit, and I
hope this isn't too painful for you guys. I hope it's all right.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Look back, often you don't look back, and you should look back because you see where you have to look where you've improved to then implement that and save time going forward.
Yeah.
And actually, just thinking about it now, I can't even really remember how we stepped forward from that. But we had 2 designs, went and launched them, and nothing really happened.
No,
and I think it was either we started looking right. Okay, we need to start getting into the communities that we're catering for.
Yeah.
And even back then, I don't think social media was probably as prevalent as it is to this day, really.
Certainly wasn't as much guidance on how we could utilise it.
So I think it was the UK Mass event.
UK Mass was a big turning point.
Yeah, we started looking at events to attend because we thought, perfect, we'll get a stall. And actually, the 2 that you'll know well was Kaizen and UK Mass. You've been involved, Luci and Paul and Bob and all them. And for whatever reason, I think Kaizen came a little bit too early. I think it was like 2 weeks after our launch, and we were like, well, we've only got 2 designs. It's a bit early for us. And just so happened that in 6 months' time, it was UK Mass, and paid for a stand there. I remember us being on the side, out of the way, just a little table.
It was a little bit. I don't know if we can swear in here, so I'm not gonna. It was a little bit.
Go for it.
A little bit shit or bust for us at that point, because we believed we had something that was good. We believed we had something that people. It's a horrible thing to say. Something that they kind of should like, but we weren't doing. I see now that we weren't doing the requisite work to market it properly, and we went along to UK Mass, and it was expensive for us at the time, given where we were. We didn't have loads of products, and we went along and we were starting selling T-shirts while we were setting up, and people coming straight over. And it's literally, we'd opened a shop down a dark alley for 6 months and done nothing to change that environment. So when we went, we were very nervous going to UK Mass, weren't we? That people were just going to go, no, we don't like this stuff. There's no market for this. So it was the opposite, and then you kind of try and redouble your efforts after that. And I think a lot of our problem over the period, the first couple of years, is our answer was always more product. Oh, this didn't work. Let's do it on this colour. That design didn't work. Let's do this design. And we weren't ever really getting to the heart of what the problem was. That we'd not learned how to spread the word about what we were doing properly and effectively.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think that was it. From back then, and certainly to this point, we saw events as the main driver forward, because we were getting in front of the right people, enough footfall to hopefully get the brand out there, earn some cash, so we could keep investing back in the business.
Definitely.
We're always looking at new events to attend. We've literally been looking at it this morning in terms of the events that are coming up. We're at our first of the year next week in Birmingham. We'll be at all the usual UK Masses, Kaizens again. And if there's anyone else out there that wants to invite us, or we'll more than happily get involved, because it's such an integral part. Because we're constantly, even to this point, getting in front of new people that have not necessarily heard of who we are. So that, I think that's where we kind of started, and it just slowly developed from there, really.
Perfect. You said that you've been going about 6 years then, so we've got to talk about the inevitable 2020, kind of 2021 lockdown time, everything moving on to online. Did that help, or did it hinder the progress that you were kind of making? If you're going to a lot of shows at that point, I suppose, that will put a bit of a dampener on that one, I'd imagine, but then maybe moving online. And
it should have helped. But it didn't in the reality. I think if maybe I'm speaking out of turn, Marco, I think we approached it a little bit negatively in terms of the way we handled it. We were optimized for events. Events was what was keeping the lights on effectively and allowing us, because we just reinvest. We don't take any money from ArtMartial currently. We just reinvest everything just to try and make it better, if you know what I mean. So when I know a lot of clothing brands started in 2020 and did really well. They said that e-commerce went forward 10 years. We didn't capitalise on that. I think it's fair to say
we went the other way. We put the brakes on it actually for some reason because events were so core to our main revenue stream.
Yeah,
kind of. I don't want to say we sulked, but it was like we sulked a bit.
Yeah.
We thought, oh my God, this is not fair. Almost as most small businesses probably do, you know. Actually, we weren't eligible for any grants or anything like that because we didn't have physical premises, that kind of stuff. So it's like, it was almost what's the point?
Yeah,
and that probably went on for four to 6 months, and then we kind of had a bit of a head shake and said, what are we doing? Why have we had that attitude? You know, come on. You know, there's opportunity, and actually the benefit that we take from it, and we try and do this, you know, whenever we mess up with anything, we look, right, okay, how can we learn from it? And like Matt said, the benefit is we need to refocus our efforts on our online brand and creating a community there, because a physical community is great, but what happens if, you know, COVID or whatever happens again? You know, you can't rely on this kind of stuff. So certainly from there onwards, we invested a lot more time in social media and our online presence and improving things like the website and the look and feel. And we've spent a lot of money, trial and error, and again, wasted a lot of money, you know, in the grand scheme of things to try and get it right. And are we unhappy about that? No, because nobody wants to lose money, but you know, until you do this, you never know.
It's slightly endurance, these things as well. You know, that it's
100%.
You fail enough, and then you know, all the more product. It was an error what we were doing. Just continue adding to the more product, but what it has meant is that we've kind of optimized for what our audience want. We now kind of know what designs they want, and that's been through trial and error. It's kind of cost us time and money, but we just keep rolling. You know, there's been a big seed change since 2020. I mean, I was made redundant at that time, so we own another business here that does pay the bills, if you see what I mean. But what it enables us to do is be in an office full time and probably spend more time on ArtMartial than we do on the other business, which is you know.
So ironically, we did both get out of the corporate world. More because you got made redundant, and actually I just had enough. But it wasn't because of ArtMartial, it was because of our other business that we run. So again, that's a challenge, having to run two businesses at the same time when the one that you really work on doesn't necessarily pay for the office and the bills and stuff like that. So it's a challenge. But I mean, so COVID was like you say, a real eye opener for us, and it's probably actually, if we're looking, it's probably 2 years now that actually as a brand, I'm going to say we're taking it seriously now. I don't mean we didn't take it seriously before, but actually we looked at it and we thought, right, this has got real legs here.
We knew we had something.
You know, people are buying our stuff when they see it. It's just we need more people to see it. So we really focused 2 years ago in terms of, right, that's it. You know, we need to dig down, double down on this, and really focus our attentions. And we know it was going to cost money, but we looked at a whole host of different ways to try and do that and improve our online presence, really. So even though we've been going 6 years, we'd probably say it's the last 2 years that have really had the real focus to help drive the brand 10 times to where it was. I mean,
we're literally 10 times bigger than we were 18 months ago. And a lot of that's because we've kind of got into a position where we knew we had something. We'd made a lot of mistakes. We'd made a lot of mistakes in public as well, which is not always that enjoyable, if you know what I mean. But we made the mistake, and we knew we had something where it was possible to take the handbrake off. Another one of these cliches. It's like you know, you hear people say it, and we never did it. It's like you need to get yourself a mentor who's 3 or 4 steps in front of you are going where you want to go. We did that. You know, it cost a lot of money, but they helped us avoid several major pitfalls that we'd fallen into pitfalls in the past that cost us more money than that. And they told us what to do, what not to do. We like I said, we got out of his own way a little bit, started taking it seriously, just committed following the process. We've done that, and it's paid dividends, and effectively now I believe we're in a position where we believe we can continue with this trajectory and this growth over the next several years, and we believe we've got a product that people want and like, and our aims. We want it's that thing where we want to have 1,000 true fans.
Cool. Yeah.
I don't know how accurate these metrics are, but we got told by someone who kind of knows about this sort of stuff that I believe there's 10,000 martial arts clubs in the UK with an average member size of 25. Obviously, there's some giant ones in there, there's some very little ones in there. But if you take that as accurate, then that's a lot of people, and we only
big audience.
We only need basically to turn 0.5% of those into legitimate fans of us. And when we say a true fan, that's somebody who buys a couple of t-shirts and a couple of hoodies a year. We have 2 drops a year generally, so it's like it's not a huge amount of people to make ArtMartial a fairly sizable business. And as we said, we've tried to plough our own furrow a little bit. There's an advantage to being one of these multitude of MMA and BJJ brands in that there's an inbuilt market for it. People who do MMA and BJJ have got everyone else in the club wears it, so they all wear it. It's like you want to be one of 3 pubs. You don't want to be the pub out on your own.
Sure.
So that's the route that we've taken, and we've had the growth that we've had, which has been, we're happy with it as where we are now, and we believe we can just keep doubling down on that and keep it running.
Brilliant. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the products that you offer then. So obviously you've got t-shirts, you've got hoodies, you've got beanies, etc. Where does the inspiration from the designs come from? You said that you usually do 2 drops a year. So just have a little chat to us about products and why.
Yeah, so obviously we've explained how we started. It was based on Matt's requirement linked to his martial art. And I think the key thing for us is what we didn't want to do, or what we try not to do with our designs is make it look too balls out martial arts. Say we want it to be all about inspired by martial arts, or even we've started going down more of an Oriental culture, Japanese, Korean, that kind of stuff. So where it gives a nod to martial arts. So almost if you were walking down the street and a fellow martial artist saw what you were wearing, they'd know it was martial arts inspired.
But you're not emblazoned with fight wear across you.
Or I love karate or something like that, which have places in the market, but that's not what we're all about. So as you can see, obviously we've got some of our sort of core designs So the Blossom Tree was our 3rd design that we actually took to the first event. That continues to this day to be our number 1 bestseller. So a simple design, a cherry blossom tree with a bag hanging down from the branches, and again it gives that nod to martial arts, and again it crosses over all kind of martial arts rather than being specific. Because we did talk about, should we start doing specific martial arts designs from where or continue doing what we did, but actually we wanted to be more wider at a holistic level, so we didn't sort of narrow our options, because ultimately some people like to wear stuff that's relevant to their martial arts. Some people like to wear more generic mainstream stuff.
Like we were saying before, it's kind of not. It's weird because it's kind of not. It's kind of not. It is the point that it's martial arts, but it's more about. It's more about what martial arts does. The people who tend to like our brand, they're not. They like. They might do karate, but they also respect other martial arts. If you see what I mean, they don't want to be in this competition where it's I do MMA and therefore I've got no respect for anybody who does kung fu, and I do kung fu, so that's karate is useless. It's not. That's not the environment that we want to create. We want to create kind of a positive environment for people that fundamentally share the same hobby. Whether you're grappling or whether you're striking, whether it's whether your roundhouse kick is taught by somebody who had as a sensei in Japan or Korea, what difference does it make it to a certain extent? You're all just getting after doing something positive with your life and learning a skill, and that's really what we're about. So we don't want to be too specific to any one any one martial art, and that comes with its drawbacks. Like we said, it's a little bit like the keep referencing the BJJ and MMA stuff. It's very simple for them to connect with an audience very quickly by going, you do BJJ, we are for you. Whereas it's a little bit more obscure. We're saying, you appreciate the practice of learning and staying fit through martial arts, and so do we, and that's what we're trying to cater for.
Yeah, of course.
So from a design perspective, it was just simply pulling out inspiration from the different martial arts and heroic figures that have been involved. So we've got stuff that's related to Bruce Lee, because everyone, whether you like martial arts or not, generally likes Bruce Lee and knows who it is. One of our best sellers is the Lone Samurai Musashi design, because it's just a cool looking design. And again, sells both mainstream and to those that just like that kind of sort of stuff. We try and maybe follow trends. So again, just a sneak peek into what we're up to this year. Obviously, it's the year of the dragon in Chinese culture. So,
we probably won't be the only people you see doing Year of the Dragon stuff. But I want to remind you, every year is the Year of the Dragon round here. Yeah. So everyone's jumping on our bandwagon, not the other way around.
We love dragons. We've got 2 out of the 4 designs. We've got dragons on here, but we've got a little mini range of new dragon stuff coming, which is a little bit different, and it looks really good. So people need to keep their eyes peeled. So, but ultimately, our driver is big, bold designs that people really love, and some people won't. And that's going back to what we said. At the beginning, we thought we need to appease 10 out of 10 people, and actually we ended up appeasing none. Whereas now we need 3 of that. Not even 3, but 3. If 3 of that 10 people love it, fantastic. We're building our own little community. The others, fine, either don't care or they hate it. So what?
And we do like you've got on there. It's one of our more muted, just a logo thing. We did notice that there was a market for that kind of thing. That people who perhaps they're on board with what we're trying to do, but simply just don't wear T-shirts with big dragons on, which is fine. So
well, that's what stood out to me when I was looking, because I like the big bold designs. Like I've got the cherry blossom one, and I got a couple of other ones in the last order. But then this one for me, I think it's just nice and bold. Like it's just simple, isn't it? But then on the back you've got the ArtMartial. I can see it, but So I like that. Just a simple design as well, just for rocking around and just day to day wear.
And to be honest, the logo stuff, with to and fro, because I've always been an advocate of doing small logo stuff, the ArtMartial, but we've kind of held back from it, and Matt probably more than myself, and rightly so, is because actually it goes back to that. It just feels like we're putting a logo on something and putting it out there, when actually we've seen as a clothing brand, you need to build a story and a reason behind your brand. So that's why we've always led with what we do and build the story. And it's only since probably the summer last year that we thought, actually, we've done enough hard work now. We've got a big enough community. We've got a story behind who we are, that we can just start putting our logo on stuff, and actually a little bit more muted, but people will want to buy it, because they don't want to have big designs, or actually they might just want something that represents ArtMartial because they're a fan of ArtMartial, or they want something to wear in the gym or something like that. So we thought about throwing it on back in day one, but without that story.
We've seen a lot of that over the years, and look, maybe if we see people who've got a big, and rightly so, they've earned it. If you get someone who's a big name in combat sports, or they've got a presence of their own, maybe they can put their name on something and trade on that name value. If people tuned in today to hear about mine and Marco's glorious victories in the martial arts realm, then I'm sorry we probably disappointed them a little bit. But we don't have the liberty to do that, unfortunately. So we've gone a different way and become heavily stylized, and it was very deliberate, knowing that it wouldn't appeal to everybody. We didn't want it to appeal to everybody. Like I said, we're after 1,000 true fans, so it's good from our perspective to be a little bit different. Although we've gained, we've seen it. I think we've been out. I think there can't be many more clothing brands more active at events than we are, getting out, meeting people. I don't think there can be that many that have got out over the last few years and met as many martial artists as we have. And a lot of those people, they love the artwork, but they say it's just not for me. And when we've put just a logo on a T-shirt, a lot of those people have suddenly, people who we've seen who followed us for years, engaged with posts and things like that, and they've suddenly started buying things when they weren't before. So Marco said we didn't want to lead with that, but I think it's only right that we have something like that as well in our offering.
Perfect. Yeah. What about the future then, guys? So what's going to happen in the next year, the next 2 years? Where do you see ArtMartial going? And kind of, is there an end goal, or are you just going to keep doing kind of what you do?
There's always an end goal. It might just keep changing every now and then, depending on which channel and direction we go in. Ultimately, we've always said certainly from 2 years ago, we see ArtMartial becoming, or we want ArtMartial to become that mainstream brand. Now that might be a bit of blue sky thinking, but actually we feel there's that market there, and we feel that the brand has got integrity behind it to actually do that and cater for a bigger reach, a bigger audience. So why can't we do that? You know what I mean? So that's the end goal. This year, so Q4 last year, we started really investing online in our social media, and actually we had such a fantastic end to the year last year that we've come into this year with some big goals for ourselves. Now there are two sort of verticals within ArtMartial at the moment. So there's the clothing brand, which is all the stuff that we've just talked about. So you're going to see a lot more designs, a lot more interesting stuff that we're going to get, and we're going to be at a lot more events. And again, it's just still about building that brand, because ultimately, yes, we have been going a while, but it's still relatively new in terms of eyes on the brand. So we're just going to continue, keep doing that. We've got the formula, as I say, we've got a mentor in place who owns a successful clothing brand abroad. He's helping us, steering us down the right path, and touch wood, everything we do is working. So we're going to continue with that. We also, which people might have seen or might not have seen, but we do a clubwear solution as well.
Yep.
So we do a lot of sort of garments for clubs, not necessarily, again, things like gis or that kind of stuff, but more the lifestyle side of things, the t-shirts, the hoodies, the tracksuits, even things like compression tops, caps, that kind of stuff. And we've kind of bobbled around with that, but actually we launched that sort of at the beginning of this year and put a lot of effort into that, and that's again has grown quite well at the minute. So people who go on our website will see that we've got a clubwear and a merch option where we can not only provide our stuff, we can actually print your clubwear garments as well using. And the beauty is we use the same garments, the same print method, so you're still getting the same quality. You're obviously got that kudos because you're aligned with ArtMartial. So again, we see that. It's almost a bit like the analogy we use is like, okay, to say we're going to become the next Nike is probably, why not? But it's still a way off from that. Actually, in footballing terms, I don't know if you know much about football, but you've got at that social level a company called ProStar
or something like that.
Right, I've heard of them.
Kit for every sort of amateur team. Why can't we be the brand that supports martial arts at that club level and offer them their club wear and dual brand it with the ArtMartial and build the brand that way? Because we see the value in, obviously we've got the brand, but if we can get into more clubs, there's more eyes on what we do, and then more eyes automatically on ArtMartial as well. And it's a perfect fit because we're martial artists as well, so we're not just like a local printer. Again, nothing wrong with that. People use who they do, and printers do a good job, but if you're looking to step up your game, maybe then they want to get involved with what we're doing, and loads of clubs are getting involved, and even merch as well. So we do a lot of stuff for, funnily enough, podcasters who want their merch doing. We've got some sports people.
Bear that in mind.
We've got some sports people.
Yeah, we're just about to send out. I don't know if you follow Karate Combat. Owen Chelmere in there. We do his team stuff for him. He's about to go out to Mexico City to fight a guy who's had several fights in the UFC. So that should be. And Owen always goes to fight, so that should be an entertaining one. We've also got an advocate program. We get. Like I said, we're not Nike, we're not Adidas. We would love to be in a position where we could start, putting a bit more money back into kind of the grassroots level of martial arts competitors and things like that. But unfortunately, it's just not where we're at the moment. It's just not possible for us. However, what we have got is we've got an advocate scheme, basically, where you can sign up and you can help us by promoting the brand and get commission payments from us, basically, for anything that you send our way, which is something that maybe can help them generate a little bit of revenue, because we know, going to these competitions and stuff, it's not free. Anything that can help. So there's an option there for people to do that. So we're trying to get around and make ourselves as well known as we can. Again, just trying to hit this sort of thousand true fans that we sort of hold up as the ultimate aim, I suppose, or the aim that we're working towards at the moment.
Perfect, good. Where can people get in contact with you then? So if they want to buy your products, if they want to get in chat, if they want to get in touch or chat with you or anything like that, or if they've got any more questions, where's the best place? Yeah,
so most details are on the website, so artmartialclothing.com. There's a phone number and an email on there, or you can just email us at info@artmartialclothing.com. Socials, we're heavily invested in socials, so if you're on Facebook or Meta as it's known, it's at ArtMartial Clothing, or on Instagram is at Clothing ArtMartial. So if you want to drop us any messages, we respond pretty quickly, to be honest. We're constantly on there, so we'll get back to them straight away with an answer to the question. Yeah.
Perfect. Good stuff then, guys. Thank you very much for hopping onto it. I appreciate it. Awesome stuff that you're doing. I love the products. You'll get some more orders from me very soon, I'm sure. And I hope to catch up with you at an event very soon.
Top man. Nice. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you.